My name is Deacons Nyamogo. I'm Kenyan, and I'm not a happy man today because of the happenings in my country. To start with, I know that civility of a society is sometimes defined by social morality of the people. Now, what happened in Kilifi County is something that ought to have been prevented a long time ago. Because the so-called Makaazi, I don't want to call him a pastor because to me he's not a pastor as a believer, is someone alleged to have been in the village for quite some time now, gaining popularity. Maybe, who knows, he had connections with the local politicians. Because one wonders how such a person can get into a village, recruit villagers, a whole village. For your information, this guy recruited a whole village. You recruit a whole village and you send them to go and starve to death. Some you keep at your home and allow them to starve to death. How does that take you to heaven? For God's sake. This is taking advantage of the situation of a village. The level of illiteracy in Kilifi County has played a role in this as well. But then that shouldn't be an excuse, because that is a failure of all successful regimes in the country. The thing is that we have the local authorities in the village. We've got a village elder. What is the work of a village elder? A village elder ensures smooth operations within the village, the harmony within the village, the communications from the government down, it trickles to the villagers through the village elder. Now, for an establishment for that kind to be in place, there has to be recruitment of members. There has to be a network, and there has to be the so-called ambassadors of the to-be leader of the cult. Who are the ambassadors of the leader of the cult? Or who were the ambassadors of the leader of the cult? That is one question. How does the network operate without the knowledge of the local authorities? How did the village elder fail to realize that such a recruitment was taking place? In the absence of a single member of the society or of the village, the absence, even for 1 week, if it goes further, should call for concern for everyone in that village. Where did so and so go? You want to say that no one cared to know where the disappearing people of the community were going? Nah, that is impossible. There has to be, and there was a network that knew what was going on. What is the work of community health workers? Beyond health operations, health services, there is what is called responsibility. If you see such a thing or you've heard such a thing happening, why can't you raise an alarm? The village elder, if you could not handle at the village level, did you inform the area assistant chief? The area assistant chief, did you inform the area chief? What did the chief do? Did you take it to the sub-county officials? Somebody knew something and somebody did not take action. Therefore, action must be seen to be taken. Action must be taken and has to be taken now. I'm not a leader in that village. I'm a leader at my own level. But then I fail to excuse a deliberate failure of this kind. That life, as perceived to be so special and precious, cannot be protected by the government, by the constitution, by letting this thing to happen or to exist at the core of the village, recruiting, starving, and burying people in mass graves. Then life goes on. Nothing happens. This is impossible. This ought not to have happened, and this must stop. How? We must regulate the freedom of worship in Kenya. I know that those people who believe in harvesting from naive women and children in the village would disagree with me, but we must regulate freedom of worship. Servancy or service to the Lord used to come as a call. It is no longer a call. We go to college to study theology, to become pastors, without the knowledge of being called a pastor. This must end. Our president or the persons in authority, those that must take action, you've got to do it now. How is Rwanda doing it? How is President Kagame doing it? A great man, great African leader, a man, a president who believes in action. How is he doing it? There is regulation of freedom of worship in Rwanda. There are conditions in order for you to call yourself a pastor, a priest, to gather people to stand before you as a congregation and talk to them as their leader in that denomination or in that religion. We must regulate the freedom of worship. Thank you, our people, the great people of Kenya. Great, thank you very much for listening to